Let's ask Siri for the definition of impeachment. Hey Siri, what is the definition of impeachment?
Impeachment means the action of calling into question the integrity or validity of something.
Number 2, a charge of treason or another crime against the state. Number 3, a charge of misconduct made against the holder of a public office. So, Siri gave us 3 definitions, but I'm going to argue that there is a 4th. The definition of impeachment is to nullify. This entire impeachment circus has been a sham witch hunt designed to nullify not only the results of the 2016 presidential election, now listen to me, not only the results of the 2016 presidential election, but also the results of the upcoming 2020 election. The actions to remove this president started the day he was elected. On the day he was elected, the Washington Post announced that the impeachment had begun. Why? Why was the power of the political machine, the power of the deep state, the dark state, the media arm of the Democrat Party activated so soon and with such fury? My theory, and it's only my theory, is that Donald J. Trump is Donald J. Trump. What you saw as candidate Trump is the same thing you're seeing as President Trump. He is brash, a braggadocio, a bully, a big talker, a two-fisted fighter who always wants to get in the last lick. He was quite upfront about what he was going to do to make America great again, and all of this greatly offended the sensibilities of the Democrats. He was threatening to undo years of progress they had made in turning this country into a socialist paradise. They had, under President Obama, made huge strides towards making millions and millions of Americans reliant on welfare, food stamps, housing assistance, free health care, free education, free phones. The list goes on. Their shackles, and yes, I'm using that word on purpose, their shackles were firmly in place, beholden to the party of free things, forced to vote the Democrat ticket forevermore, or risk losing their freebies that were being paid for by the millions of Americans who were working hard to support themselves and their families. President Trump took the nation out of reverse and set it moving forward again. He created the best economy there has been, at least in my lifetime. Unemployment is at a historic low. The unemployment rates for African Americans and Hispanics is at the lowest ever recorded. Trade deals are being made, walls are going up, the stock market is at a historic high. 2 conservative justices have been placed on the Supreme Court, and perhaps the 3rd one soon, and hundreds of conservative judges have been placed in courts throughout the land. People are now finally starting to realize that they do not have to be beholden to the Democrat Party. They are starting to see it for what it is, a party of oppression. Rather than being elected by the major liberal population centers in New York and California, he was elected by the people in the flyby states. Since he won based on the Electoral College and not the popular vote, that was one more reason to declare him a false president. So, the Democrat Party has every reason to hate Trump. In less than 3 years, he has undone years of work they have accomplished. So, he has to go. Prior to the current impeachment hearings, other attempts were made to nullify this election. Now, I've covered them briefly in other videos, but they include the Steele dossier, the Russia collusion hoax, which resulted in the somewhat hilarious Mueller investigation, the Stormy Daniels investigation, the Trump Tower in Moscow investigation, and the current Ukrainian investigation. This sham inquiry started in the House Select Intelligence Committee with the partisan ranking member, Pencil Neck Adam Schiff, only allowing witnesses that he personally approved of and questions that he okayed. It was a terrible, horrible miscarriage of any semblance of justice. The so-called fact witnesses could only say that their testimony was based on what they had heard from other people who heard stuff from other people. The one person who did speak to the president about the phone calls behind the inquiry had to admit he had no actual evidence. He could only make presumptions and assumptions. When asked if any of them would hold up their hand to show they had any actual evidence of bribery, extortion, quid pro quo, treason, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, none of them could do so. Regardless, this was then sent to the House Judiciary Committee where it sits right now, and the circus continues to be played out. At one point, they had staff members interviewing other staff members, which is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. I'm not sure at all what they hope to accomplish with that. Then they brought in the so-called legal scholars, the professors, the experts on constitutional law, and they sat there and said Trump should be impeached because Orange Man bad. And he kept them up at night with fright and worry. They said he was guilty on all charges, but once again could supply no actual evidence. This will soon go to the Senate, probably after the Christmas break, where it will die on the vine. Chief Justice Roberts will preside over an actual trial, and Senate Republicans will play out the rest of this sham before voting against impeachment. The Democrats knew from day one that this would be the result. They knew, even if they could force this abomination through the House, that the Senate would never vote to convict. They knew they did not have any proof or any evidence. So why? They were making an attempt to so weaken this president, to besmirch him, to drag him through the mud, to ruin his reputation so that he would become unelectable in 2020. They knew that they could not force him out of office during this term, so they had to focus on the next one. I'm very sorry to say, my dear Democrats, your shenanigans have backfired on you. You actually had majority support for impeachment. Then you had to lay out your case, and you lost that majority. Now the majority of the country is against it, and the approval rating for President Trump is at an all-time high. You fools. In addition, there has never been an incumbent that has lost an election when the economy was good. And this one's going gangbusters. Gangbusters. If this nonsense continues, I can see us regaining the House of Representatives, although there's maybe just a slim chance of that. And I can also see us gaining seats in the Senate. Indeed, today, one of the two Democrat House members that voted against starting the impeachment inquiry is making overtures to switch parties and to become one of the Republicans. I find that hilarious. In essence, the Democrats are impeaching themselves. As always, thank you so much for watching, especially those of you that made it to the end. If you liked what I had to say, then pretty please hit that like button. If you are not a level 1 subscriber, please think about hitting the sub button. Thank you for the new subscriber I got today. I wish I remembered his name. I'd like to give him a shout out. If you really want to help me out, share this video. It would make a huge difference. Thank you so much.